Croeso I Fagan Ymgedda Werin Cymru. Welcome to Fagans National Museum of History. Fagans is an exemplar of cultural democracy, and this goes right back to the origins of the museum in 1948, which was founded on two really important principles. The first one is the life of every person matters, and the second one is that at the end it's people, not institutions, who are carriers of culture. So that whole idea of living culture, and that living culture being part of the organisation, is in the DNA of Fagans.
We have 40 re-erected buildings that tell different stories, different social stories over the centuries. And as part of the redevelopment, we've taken that story further back in time. So behind us here, you can see Llys Llywelyn, which takes us back to the medieval period. Based on archaeological evidence, we've recreated a medieval Prince's Hall. But we've done it with a twist. We've created it as a sleepover facility for school children. At the side here, you can see the new Gweithdy Gallery. We've also created new galleries. We very much feel that history is something that we do together, and the redevelopment focused on creating history with people rather than for them. Although Fagans is a museum of history, it's imperative that it remains relevant for contemporary Wales.
We understood that we needed to collect and record lived experiences of everyone who live in Wales. So this was really important to us, that we really need to represent and make sure that collection really mirrored our communities. We're living through history, and I think we need to do justice for that, where we capture every story from Wales. So I think we're becoming more aware of why it is important to not only engage and communicate with communities, but to actually be embedded in our communities.
Well, during the lockdown, we had to refocus our work, and as the National History Museum of Wales, it was really important that we captured the now for future generations. So one important project that we've undertaken is collecting collecting people's lived experiences of what is happening now in Wales.
We were very aware as a national museum that we had a duty to document this crisis for the nation and for future generations. But also we were acutely aware that people were in crisis, and this was a very emotional and troubling time for people. And what we've done is launch an online questionnaire asking people to reflect, to meditate on their experiences of the pandemic.
Yn ystod y cyfnod cloi nath holl ysgolion cau, felly oedd angen I ni ffindio ffyrdd newydd o ymgysylltu gyda'r disgyblion yma. Wnaethon ni hyn trwy creu nifer o raglenni ac adnoddau digidol ar-lein.
One of the things that we've done during lockdown is launch the EMYA for Cymru producers. Young people between the ages of 16 and 24 have got involved with a range of different areas of work for the museum.
The museum does so much in terms of the kinds of projects, the kinds of histories that it shows, and that appeals to a lot of people. But getting kind of young creatives involved in a really practical, active way, I think adds another layer of quality to those projects, in terms of just making sure that those projects are speaking to young people and their experiences, and making sure that what the museum is doing is relevant basically to the next generation of young people across Wales.
In some ways, the real test of a museum is how visitors feel about it, and I've never known a museum that is more loved than Fagans. That was actually true even before the redevelopment, but it's so much more true now.
Mae Fagans felly yn rhoi profiad emosiynol iawn I bobl. Maen nhw'n cerdded mewn I hanes, mae'n brofiad kinesthetic iawn. A'r hyn I ni wedi trio wneud wrth ail-datblygu Fagans yw ymestyn y diffiniad yna o hanesion Cymru, a cynnwys pawb sydd wedi gwneud Cymru yn gartre iddyn nhw, fel bod I hanesion nhw yn gallu cael ei adlewyrchu yma yn Fagans.
My personal feeling about Fagans all the way through the project is a sense of those generations of people in Wales, very often from the poorest communities, the most marginal people, whose story has never been properly told. I imagine them all the way around this museum, waiting for the opportunity to come in and tell their stories. And I do believe by this development we have created a foundation for those stories to be told in the generations to come in a way that simply wasn't possible before.